dismantle missile capabilities that threaten allies, to degrade naval assets used to destabilize international waters, and to disrupt the machinery that arms proxy militias, and to ensure the Iranian regime never, ever can threaten the world with a nuclear weapon. As President Trump said last night, for decades, the Iranian regime has willfully destabilized the world. It has killed American forces and citizens, threatened regional allies, and jeopardized the security of international shipping upon which the world depends. Its massive support for violent proxies, declared terrorist organizations, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, and others, has brought bloodshed and disorder across the Middle East for far too long. This is not speculation. We know this to be true, and our men and women have paid for the actions of this regime and the IRGC with their lives. No responsible nation can ignore persistent aggression and violence. The regime in Tehran has led attacks that have cost American lives, hundreds of U.S. Marines in Lebanon, thousands of troops in Iraq. American hostage after hostage has suffered, our ships fired upon dozens of times in the Red Sea. Iran has armed and financed militant organizations that undermine lawful governments and destabilize an already fragile region. Iran's continued pursuit of advanced missile capabilities, coupled with its refusal to abandon nuclear ambitions despite diplomatic opportunities, presents a grave and mounting danger. The international community has long affirmed a simple and necessary principle: Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That principle is not a matter of politics, it's a matter of global security, and to that end, the United States is taking lawful actions. This body, the United States Security Council, has acted repeatedly on this threat. 20 years ago, starting in 2006, Resolution 1696 demanded that Iran suspend all uranium enrichment-related and reprocessing activities, invoking Chapter 7 of the UN Charter, and adopting a legally binding resolution. When Iran failed to comply, this council, followed with Resolution 1737, imposing mandatory sanctions, including bans on nuclear-related materials and technology, asset freezes on key individuals and entities linked to their nuclear program, and establishing a sanctions committee. Subsequent resolutions, 1747 in the year 2007, expanded arms embargoes and asset freezes. Resolution 1803 in 2008 tightened restrictions on dual-use goods and calling for the inspections of Iranian cargo. Resolution 1835 in 2008 reaffirmed the need for full compliance. And Resolution 1927 in 2010, which was the most comprehensive, banning ballistic missile activities, tightening the conventional arms embargo, targeting the IRGC and shipping lines, and prohibiting new Iranian banking relationships, built a robust multilateral framework to curb Iran's nuclear and missile pursuits. These measures, again, adopted under Chapter 7, represented the world's collective judgment that Iran's actions posed a threat to international peace and security. And despite numerous opportunities for an alternative path, Iran remained defiant. And the Security Council decided on September 19th of last year, 2025, to restore these measures, snapback sanctions, sending a clear message that the world will not acquiesce to threats and half measures, and Tehran would be held to account. On top of these actions by the UN, American diplomacy was attempted repeatedly and in good faith. President Trump, Secretary Rubio, our special envoys, Witkoff and Kushner, were relentlessly dedicated to diplomacy. But diplomacy cannot succeed where there is no genuine willingness to cease aggression, where there is no genuine partner for peace. As President Trump said today, and he spoke directly to the Iranian people, he said, quote, "To the proud, great people of Iran, I saw tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. The entire world has witnessed the regime's wholesale slaughter of innocent civilians. The sad irony is that this same regime will attempt to lecture us today about human rights and the rule of law. Its presence here in this council makes a mockery of this body. But where the UN lacks moral clarity, the United States of America will maintain it. Indiscriminate and unprovoked attacks by the Iranian regime today against our regional partners, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, Jordan, and others, reinforce precisely why such actions are necessary. The regime has not only struck military assets, but civilian infrastructure as well. Those who stand with us must know that their security is not negotiable. The safety of our allies is not conditional. It is assured. The bottom line is this, colleagues. Our allies and partners can count on the United States and can count on President Trump. Colleagues, peace is not preserved by appeasing those who threaten it. Peace is preserved through strength in the face of terror. History has taught us that the cost of inaction is far greater than the burden of decisive action. And our president, President Trump, has taken that decisive action today. I thank you.
I thank the representative.
All right, everybody. That was Mike Walls, and that the United Nations called an emergency meeting to talk about what's going on in Iran, or what went on in Iran, and what will continue. And just to let you guys know, I've got a number of different monitors going, number of different feeds. This UN thing really intrigues me because I want to know how the world is going to react. We're going to jump back into it. Right now, the lady from Denmark is talking, and then I'm going to get on with the show. So let's just listen in just a little bit more, see what she's got to say.
Related to its nuclear program, its ballistic missiles, its destabilizing activities in the region and beyond, and its violent crackdown and repression against its own people. As a consequence, the European Union, with Denmark's active support, has adopted strong sanctions against Iran, just like we have always been promoting diplomatic efforts to address the nuclear and ballistic missile programs through a negotiated solution. I also wish to express Denmark's condemnation of Iran's attacks today on countries of the region. This must stop immediately. We express our full solidarity with partners in the region under attack. Mr. President, at this critical juncture, de-escalation is imperative. A broader regional escalation would have devastating consequences for the Middle East and for international peace and security. We call for maximum restraint and respect for international law, including international humanitarian law. What is needed is for diplomatic efforts to reduce tension and for the negotiations to resume in good faith as the only viable, lasting solution to the Iranian nuclear issue.
You know, so that's one of the problems. You listen to these people, they just want to have meetings. You just want to have meeting after meeting. It's like a bad corporation. So you got a president now who's actually going to do something. We're going to get it done. No more of this pacifying and waiting for you guys to get your act together. We've done that for decades. And now I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last straw, or the last warning. People are going to be realizing at this point, when President Trump says, you got a deadline, it means you got a deadline. That if you don't do what you're supposed to do by the deadline, you might get dead. Which is so refreshing to me to see a man with cojones in the president's office and doing what needs to be done, even if people are running through the street complaining, even if they're protesting, which they are, which is so funny to me. They took up the flag of Ukraine. They took up the flag of Palestine. They took up the flag of Venezuela. But the one flag they don't pick up is the American flag. And it's becoming more and more obvious. You know, it was really weird. We all watched the State of the Union. We watched this President Trump say, "You're going to stand for America? You're going to stand for the American people?" And damn if they haven't done that. Ukraine pictures, Ukraine flag, Nancy Pelosi pulled around her. They're running in the street talking about, you know, Palestine and every single thing. And now they're in the street yelling for Iran. And with the contrast, you know, my favorite word lately, the contrast is the people in Iran are cheering. The people in Iran are exulting. They have freedom. And the Americans are like, you don't need any freedom. That freedom stuff, that doesn't work out. You guys should continue to be oppressed. The fact that certain members of the so-called squad, the hypocrisy knows no bounds. You're telling me that you can stand up without wearing a hijab and all the other stuff. You don't have to cover up. You can walk in, you can go where you want, you can talk, you can say what you want, you can take on the governmental leader, and you're saying you're the one who's oppressed, where none of what you uphold, nothing that you say you want can the women do in that country. You think the women can speak out against their president or the now dead guy, Ayatollah Assahola? No, they get beheaded. You think, you know, you could just walk through the street with all these different flags? No. You think you could just speak to men? You think you could go to school? But yet you want them to be subjugated to this. That hypocrisy is something that every single woman should see and go, there's something wrong here. They're not even, they got to bow their head. They can't show any skin. They are completely almost like robots. Have babies and shut up. Don't even look at me. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I'm fired up. I'm fired up about this. So I got a whole bunch of stuff to show you, and so many different feeds going on. I got Trey Yangst on Fox News. He's there talking about the missile strike.
Scene here as you and I talk while we find this police spokesman. Just one moment, Martha. But the spokesman that we're going to talk to is a man that we met during the 12-day war, and his name is Dean Elsdon, and he is someone who has been able to speak on behalf of the police, but also on behalf of the Israeli people. He actually appeared in one of the Fox Nation documentaries that we did, and he is here on the scene, and we can get an update from him about what exactly happened here and what we know. So if you could just give me 30 more seconds here, Martha, we're going to be able to bring this to you in one moment.
So the remnants of the Iranian government, the Iranian Guard, are still out there trying to salvage some power when they have none. As of right now, it's been reported that no American casualties. In fact, I don't think they had even anybody wounded, which we're going to talk about that as well, because that's very, very important to understand. It's absolutely crazy. Before I get into the whole show and everything, wanted to talk to you about one of today's sponsors, because I've got so much to go through. I want to make sure I get all these sponsors in. You know, if you bought, by the way, as we're talking about silver and gold, you know how things get crazy when there's instability around the world. Well, that instability is on display for you 24/7 right now. So if you bought some gold and silver and you thought it was bad before, I hope you weathered the storm. I hope you didn't freak out. With everything that they've been trying to do to suppress the market over and over again, the days of excessive money printing, overvalued markets, and global unrest are finally catching up to the elite. And boy, are they catching up. Instead of pulling back, now is the time to do your research, keep your eyes open to trends and news, and get some information from my friends at Lear Capital. Experts are still predicting $6,000 gold and $150 to $200 silver. Everything you're seeing is being driven by geopolitical uncertainty, inflation concerns, and a perceived weakening U.S. dollar. Is it time for you to buy some gold or silver? That's a decision you're going to have to make. I'm not going to make that for you. But if you call Lear Capital, they'll help you by getting the most accurate information you need to make an informed decision. Call the best in the business and the company that Rob and I personally trust and do business with. There's a lot of people out there that are kind of shady. Watch out for them and stay away from that paper stuff. Buy the actual product. Call Lear Capital. It's a free call. There's no obligation to purchase, just education and information on protecting and growing your wealth with gold and silver. I'm sure there are many of you that have called and haven't purchased yet for whatever reason. They'll even walk you through shifting some of your money sitting in a retirement account over to physical gold and silver. It's easy to do. I've been extremely satisfied with Lear's knowledge, service, and prices. I urge you to call today and learn more. 800-601-5430. 800-601-5430, or go to learberry.com to learn more. All right, so throughout this show, you're going to see me, and I'm not like, ADD, but there's so much going on. I just, I'm looking what's on this feed, what's on that feed, so I can bring it to you. But let's get started with the show.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels in international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again, they can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
I want to stop there for 1 second. That statement in itself, we're going to talk about when he's done here. But as he mentioned the entire obliteration, I want to come back to that as well. Also, he gave you an indication that this is not done. because he wants to destroy their Navy and everything else. I'm going to tell you about the communications, what they did with that. This was a full-throated attack to take down Iran. Iran was not ready for it. They didn't even know what was coming.
I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Hold the line. Stay with me. Brothers, what we do in life echoes in eternity. Strength and honor. Strength and honor. At my signal, unleash hell.
That's the second time now I've had to use that clip because I absolutely love it. On my signal, unleash hell. And so President Trump is making a method, a strategy of unleashing hell on people. He is flexing muscle that the Americans haven't flexed in quite some time. He is letting adversaries around the world know truly what's gonna happen if you don't do as he wants you to. And I don't mean from a tyrannical perspective. I don't mean from an overbearing, crazy perspective, but we're going to protect America, and it doesn't matter anything else. We're going to protect America, and if that means you guys have to go down, sorry. And he was very forceful, which at this point, I think the people, the bad guys in Iran have to realize, lay down your weapons or you're dead. I mean, I've never heard a president speak so direct. Here are your choices. Stop fighting or die. That's it. There's nothing in between. So when you hear all these people talking about negotiation in the United Nations and then pundits come on television, oh, we're going to come to No, you got two choices: stop or die. That's it. Now, I'm going to give you a parallel. This is just my opinion. I am not a war correspondent. I've never been in the military, although my dad and my brother both were in the military. My brother went to West Point, made it to, I think he's a colonel right now. He went to Iraq. My dad, before he passed, was in the Army as well. He was a master sergeant or so. But I've never been in the military, never had to do it. I wasn't cut out for it. So I am not going to pontificate like I know any military strategy whatsoever. The only strategy that I'm looking at this point is President Trump's strategy. And I want you to continue to write things down as you hear him say it. One of those things that you're going to want to continue to watch and listen for is something he said for quite some time, all the way back on the trail. I don't know if I have do I have the cut of that? Let me, on the other computer I do. I don't have it here. But he just said it one more time. And what he said was, we're going to obliterate you. And when I heard that, because I know they write their speeches, they set them up for him, and I know that they put words there that he specifically wants to send out as a comm. Because what I really think is happening with Venezuela, potentially Cuba, which is probably not much of a potential at this point, it will be Cuba, Iran, is I think this is more of, quote, obliterating the deep state. You all heard him say it. If I get elected, I will obliterate the deep state. So why do I think about that? I want you to go back a couple years ago when this guy named Barack Obama shipped $1.7 billion in cash over to Iran. Cash. Didn't do it by wire transfer. Didn't do it with bearer bonds. Didn't put it, send him a check. $1.7 billion in cash on pallets. Who needs $1.7 billion in cash delivered to them? What organization, what group of people would need $1.7 billion of cash? And then the holding company or the company receiving it, i.e. Iran, Ayatollah, what does he need $1.7 billion in cash? Well, the answer to that question is, how did these people exist as the number one state sponsor of terror for so long and nobody did anything to them? A lot of negotiations, a lot of talks. Nothing happened. Perhaps that $1.7 billion in cash on pallets in the back of an airplane wasn't just for Iran. That there were people on the other side of that plane landing with their hands out collecting, i.e. deep state. Just like, they send so many barrels of oil to China. Just like Venezuela sent so many barrels of oil to China. The money flow wasn't just to these war-torn countries, because the war-torn countries and these crap holes didn't care about their people. It wasn't like Iran looks like Saudi Arabia. Venezuela doesn't look like Saudi Arabia. Where'd all that money go? Where did the billions and billions and billions of dollars go that were shipped over there for one reason or another? Perhaps without any evidence other than what we're seeing, could that have been just what we're looking at as a big part of the deep state that must be obliterated? I wanted to bring that to your attention because the next thing I'm going to say is, and I forget who put it out there, I think it was Will Chamberlain. He goes, is it possible now with what we've been seeing over the last couple of months that we are indeed and President Trump has been saying it, and Pete Hegseth has been saying it. Many of us didn't really pay attention to it. Is it really possible that we are indeed the most powerful, most deadly, lethal, as Pete Hegseth would say, country ever? Are we indeed the big dog on the block who's always been chained up on the porch, spending gazillions every year on defense, but never ever letting people know what we can do? When they did this attack, they parked a aircraft carrier, a couple of aircraft carriers out there. They took care of business. They completely wiped out the communications in the country. They were able to do something at cyber as well and shut down communications that way. What we're seeing a number of different times here, from the first Iran bombing, flying all the way around the world, nobody knew it was coming, boom, and flew all the way back, and people didn't even know it happened until on their way back. Hey, by the way, we just blew them up. Going into Venezuela under cover of the darkness, dropping people in, igniting the discombobulator, getting back on helicopters and coming home. And people are, I hope we're not taking it for granted. I hope everybody's sitting back going, wait a second. What in the hell did we do? We still don't know what the discombobulator is. Remember that term? He actually said it was a discombobulator. I called it the poop machine. Whatever it was, we've never heard of it before. They've never heard it before. Even some of the people, they hit us with something. We had no idea what it was. You see, the Democrats don't like that. The Democrats want us susceptible to attack. The Democrats don't want us to be the big dog out there. The Democrats want us to, be a little fearful for this and that. Everybody right now is talking about sleeper cells. Good luck. You might be able to pull something off, but good luck, because if we've got discombobulators, if we've got the ability to shut down an entire country's communications, all of their internet, I'm telling you, someone's listening to me right now. I'm telling you, there's some AI that is listening to every word I'm saying and filtering it out in seconds to see if I'm a threat. And then saying, hey, he's right there if you need to take, make it go boom. I guess what I'm saying is we have immense power, and we, for the first time, have a guy who's like, and I'm going to use it. So when I tell you a deadline, I don't want to make it a deadline. I'd like to make it a living line so we can cut, some sort of deal, because otherwise it'll turn into a, quote, deadline. You're going to be dead. And right now, every single adversary in the world knows this man means business. Now I got to say something else to you. They had been bragging that they had sent assassination squads after him. Remember that? Remember that we kept hearing the news that they had sent assassination squads to try and take out Trump? Today, and I'm hoping what I'm about to say makes you feel the same way. Today, for the first time, I'm watching this go on. I'm seeing again the reports. Oh, they got in, they went out, the boom, the boom. And one of the things I'm watching is the Democrats completely freak out, lying to people. They got nothing but lies. Even Massey and Ro Khanna, oh, it's unconstitutional, it's illegal. Yeah, guys, go ahead and stuff that someplace. People who've got a brain know this wasn't unconstitutional. They know, and by the way, they were notified. That's the other thing. The Gang of Eight was notified as soon as it happened. Maybe even beforehand, because there's rumors out there that Hakeem Jeffries tried to leak it. We'll see. So everything was by the book. The War Powers Resolution allows President Trump to take a shot at people if he feels like they're, going to do something to America. And then he's got 60 days to determine, do we need to keep 60 to 90 days to keep going? And then the biggest part about this, I think probably myself, it's the biggest part about this, is that everybody on the left keeps talking about this blah, 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 forever wars. Have you noticed something about these forever wars aren't forever anymore? Have you noticed that the ability to use so much stealth has completely paralyzed other countries who don't know what the hell's going on? You've watched 3 very visible operations. Those are ones we know about, but you've seen 3. You saw the initial bombing when they went over there to Iran, boom, and bada bing, bada, come home. No forever war. That was about 18 hours. Then you saw Venezuela. Hey, we're going to go in and take over Venezuela, and we're going to boom. That took about 12 hours. Cuba's like, we got to give you Cuba. We're not even going to fight here. 0 hours. And then this operation, don't know how long it took planning, but the actual execution seemed like it was a couple of hours. It may go on for a couple more days. Bottom line is, we're not talking about forever wars. See, forever wars was a tool of the deep state. Forever wars was they weren't trying to win. A forever war meant the more money we could make on all this military stuff and firing these missiles and building more missiles and leaving tanks on the ground and leaving jets on the ground and having to build more jets and having defense. Trump's like, nah, I'm not here for the long run. If I have to be, but my objective is to get in surgically and take these people out. There is no more forever wars. There will not be another forever war. I can completely agree with everything he's been saying in that regard, because the weaponry he has been showing us, never mind the stuff we don't know about, the weaponry that they've been showing us mandates there won't be a forever war. This is a completely different army, or at least it's a completely different group of people running this army. The forever wars was a deep state tool. They were killing our boys and our ladies for profit. Just keep it running. Let's keep doing this for, what did he say the story with General Raising Cane? How fast can you take out these Al-Qaeda guys? About a week. What do you mean a week? Everybody else is saying years. Well, they're saying years for a reason. It isn't because of our weaponry, it's because of what they're doing with the money. So part of obliterating the deep state is taking away their ability to use your money on an ongoing basis to fill their own pockets. I wondered if you thought about that. Now I'm going to move into something that really might make you think to yourself, I have never been more confident that we are winning and winning big. I have never been more confident in the last 4 years that this man has everything under control, and the 2026 and 2028 election aren't even up for thought right now. I've said many times on this show, do you really think a guy who was dragged around the country from courtroom to courtroom, indictment after indictment, impeachment after impeachment, had his house ransacked, had his wife's underwear drawer ransacked, was almost killed once or twice that we know of, is ever going to let these people take power again? And that's one thing I keep saying to people. He knows. He knows what they will do to him and to this country if they take power. So this morning, and I'm watching on different stations and looking around and going, hey man, he ain't ever letting these people get in power again. I can say that with great confidence at this point. They're never seeing power. when I talked to the pollster guy and everything, by the way, did he disappear? But the pollster guy, and I'm like, how can you take a poll when you have no idea what's happening tomorrow? At this point, I think when President Trump leaves Washington and goes to Mar-a-Lago, people are like, no, please stay here. Please. Oh my gosh. He's going to Mar-a-Lago. Shit's about to hit the storm. The shit's going to hit the fan. He's heading down to Florida. Have you noticed that? Almost every time he comes down here, it's like, let's push some buttons and see what happens. Oh, that worked. They have no idea what he's going to do, where he's going to do it, how he's going to do it, when he's going to do it. And you got pollsters telling us, oh, yeah, he's going to lose the midterms. You have no idea what's coming up. None. This guy is doing so many the other day when he was being interviewed and he was talking about Clinton's. Oh, I don't want to see that happen to Bill. Bill shouldn't have to be doing these depositions and everything. I would hate to. You don't know what the hell he's thinking at this point. He is making so many head fakes. He's keeping these people spinning, and they have no clue of what they're talking about. Part of my confidence is because I specifically just saw it when I was interviewing the people in the cabinet. And I'm like, these guys got it. And I'm giving you that because I want you to begin thinking, as confident as he is, as efficient as he is, the entire administration, what they're doing, do you really think at this point they're worried about the 2026 election? Doesn't look like it, because we have no idea what's about to unfold over the next couple months. And I do want to tell you this, after taking out the Ayatollah Assahola and everything he's done, I don't even know what people are going to think. The contrast again is too great. You've got oppressed people dancing in the streets, and you've got unoppressed Americans saying, "Oh, why did you bomb Iran?" There's something really wrong here in America, and I think he knows it, and I think it's going to change. All right, so I will be right back in 2 minutes. You ever see something in the store and think to yourself, I gotta have that. That's exactly for me. That's the kind of product I could see myself in. Well, if you're a MAGA Trump supporter, this is something you are going to want to take a look at. Check out the Trump MAGA sneakers. These sneakers are beautiful. They're awesome. Red, white, and blue. Got the accents. Red on the heel. Beautiful, beautiful sneakers. If you guys have ever wanted to make a statement, if you're ever out in the club, if you're ever just shopping, maybe at the golf course, well, they're not really golf sneakers, but you could still wear them playing golf. I would tell you to jump all over this. These sneakers are awesome. Every time I've worn them, whether it's down to a Dolphins football game, whether it's going into a restaurant, it always catches eyes. People always say, what are those? And I tell them very simply, they are the Trump gold sneakers. Now, I know some of you guys might feel this is a little bit audacious, a little bit bold, but why not be bold right now? Trust me, these aren't just shoes. These are a fashion statement. They are conversation starters. The gold shine, the red, white, and blue accents. You're literally wearing your American pride on your feet. And let me tell you, nothing shuts down a woke lecture faster than walking in with these bad boys on your feet. But here's the thing, they don't just look good. They feel good. They're comfortable. They're durable. They're lightweight. These aren't the kind of sneakers you're going to leave in a box. They're not going to sit in the back of your closet. So toss your dusty, old, worn-out shoes aside. You've been wearing holes in them. This shoe, people are going to take notice of. You're going to want to have these. The best part, the message that it sends, never surrender. Every time you put these on, it's a reminder that you stand for the flag, that you stand for the blue. Don't back down. You keep fighting for everything that you believe in. They also make a perfect gift. Everybody knows that's somebody who's a Trump supporter who's looking for something that they can wear with pride. They'll flip out when they unwrap these bad boys. So go ahead and get yourself a pair of these Trump gold, never surrender sneakers. Head to themagaoffers.com/Barry. And if you go to themagaoffers.com/Barry, you can use that link for up to 15% off of your entire order today. You got to get some. Go get some Trump MAGA sneakers and start stepping. Your fans, your friends, your coworkers, some of them might not like it, but who the hell cares? Go there today. All right, so we've got the Iranian guy is going to be speaking at the United Nations. So I definitely want to catch and see what he has to say. Since so many of his buddies just got blowed up.
As my Prime Minister stated, UK forces are active and British planes are in the sky today as part of coordinated regional defensive operations to protect our people and regional partners, as the United Kingdom has done before and in line with international law. Reports of strikes on civilians and civilian infrastructure are deeply alarming. The protection of civilians and full respect for international law is critical. Iran must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. That is why we, alongside our French and German partners, have continually supported efforts to reach a negotiated solution. We have always been clear that only a diplomatic solution can fully and sustainably address these threats. We want to see the swiftest possible resolution that ensures security and stability for the region. Iran must refrain from further strikes and its appalling behaviour to allow a path back to diplomacy. We will continue to work with our partners to this end in support of peace and security and the protection of civilian life across the region. I resume my function as President of the Council. I now give the floor to the representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
In the name of God, the compassionate and merciful, we appreciate the Secretary General for his briefing and his contribution to this meeting. We express our sincere appreciation to the Russian Federation and China for supporting the convening of this emergency meeting of the Security Council to address the manifest aggression committed by the United States and Israeli regime. I also thank those council members, in particular China, Pakistan, and the Russian Federation, who have today taken principled position in condemnation this unlawful act. And it is regrettable that some members of this body, in a blatant double standard, disregarded the flagrant act of aggression committed by the US and Israel on Iran and condemn Iran for using its inherent right to self-defense on the UN Charter. Mr. President, this morning the United States regime jointly and in coordination with the Israeli regime initiated an unprovoked and premeditated aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran for the second time in the recent months, while deliberately attacking civilian populated areas in multiple large cities of Iran where millions of people reside. As a result of this brutal armed attack, hundreds of civilians have been killed and injured. The aggression and atrocious crime of the United States regime and the Israeli regime and the deliberate and persistent targeting of civilian infrastructure are ongoing. In addition to the numerous civilian residential buildings, the aggressors have also targeted a school in the city of Minab, Hormozgan province, killing more than 100 children. The number of innocent civilians continues to rise. This is not only an act of aggression, it is a war crime and a crime against humanity. Yet today, once again, the representative of the United States, through a regrettable pattern, has attempted to distort facts and rely on misinformation to justify the blatant aggression of the United States and Israel against my country. The facts, however, are unequivocal. The justification advanced by the representative of the United States today are illegal and entirely devoid of legal foundation. The baseless allegation invoked to defend this unlawful use of force have no standing under international law. The invocation of preemptive attack claims of imminent threats or other substantiated political claims cannot legitimize aggression. Such claims are unfounded legally, morally, and politically, and they contradicted the clear principles of the Charter of the United Nations. I also categorically reject the assertion made by the representative of France, the United Kingdom, and certain other Western members regarding Iran's peaceful nuclear program. These claims lack a factual and legal basis. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of the Israeli regime have openly claimed responsibility for this act of aggression and have explicitly articulated regime change as their objective, an unmistakable admission of their intent to violate Iran's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The President of the United States has falsely described this aggression as necessary to neutralize an imminent threat to the American people. This is nothing more than a deliberate attempt to mislead the international community and the U.S. public opinion and manufacture consent for unlawful war.
You know, like when you've had to discipline your children for whatever they've done, as a small kid. And one of the things my mom used to say to me, this hurts me more than it hurts you. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it hurts me more than it hurts you. Well, part of that reconciliation, part of that understanding you did something wrong is basically having to become an adult and apologize. These guys don't realize, as he's sitting here mouthing this crap right now, and you saw Mike Waltz kind of laugh. The other guy in the glasses was the representative from Israel. As you're talking, because this is pretty much live. I got a little bit of a delay on it, but it's pretty much live. As you're talking and spewing this crap, they're about to light you up again. You would think, listening to all the countries around him saying, yeah, you guys are bad and you guys can't do this, you guys can't do that he would come in here and say, listen, all right, we're done. Okay, we'll be good citizens of the world, and we won't be, like we've been, because everybody now, including you here watching, are like, you ain't getting it. Your days are numbered. You're here in New York, you're at the United Nations, but all your compatriots are getting blown out. Might be the time not to be Baghdad Bob and sit here and say, okay, you're right, we're done. But they can't
determine the political future of another state or impose control over its affairs. International law and the Charter are explicit on this matter. Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the Charter categorically prohibits the threats of use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. Mr. President, against this backdrop, I would like to make the following points. 1. What is occurring against my country is a clear act of aggression. It is an open armed aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran. The United States and Israel war today is not merely a war against Iran. It is a war against the Charter of the United Nations, a war against international law, and a war against the international legal order upon which the United Nations and the Security Council have been built for over 8 decades. As the Charter affirms, the United Nations was established to save succeeding generations from a scourge of war. The Charter, adopted in 1945,
you would think
upon this fundamental
I'm not sure if he knows that there are actual videos out there of the Ayatollah saying death to all America. But now you're trying to play. It's not us. They came after us.
And
No,
only
you've been
in the
telling
event of
Americans
an
that you want
armed
to
attack,
kill us.
the military aggression carried out by the United States and Israel satisfies none of the criteria of lawful self-defense. Accordingly, the action of the United States and Israel constitute a manifest violation of Article 2, a peremptory norms and a fundamental principle of international law accepted by all member states. Neither the Charter nor international law recognize internal matters of states as justification for the use of force by other states. Were this otherwise, no international legal order could endure. The rule of law would be replaced by the rule of force. 2. In responding to aggression and large-scale war, the Islamic Republic of Iran is exercising its inherent and lawful right of self-defense under Article 51 of the Charter of the United Nations.
All right, so what he just said there is that they're going to be still flexing and trying to do self-defense, which means they haven't had enough. So sometime tonight the skies are going to probably open up again because they don't get it. The world is coming together and going to come after Iran. At this point, they're still trying to flex muscle. We're going to defend ourselves. I think it's something in their culture. They can't accept it. And, you know, this guy, he's got immunity because he's here with the United Nations. But I would walk up to him whispering, like, we're killing everybody over there. All the soldiers, we're going to do it all. You might want to rethink this. Crazy. All right, let's go back to what I had for you.
This fateful campaign will continue as long as it is needed.
Let me stop. I know every time I show Bibi, people freak out. Don't let the mods have to bounce you because you say something negative about Netanyahu here. But, you know, after President Trump said what he had to say this morning, now Netanyahu early this morning said this.
But you need to really be resilient and strong. I would like to thank President Trump for his historical leadership. I spoke with him again this morning, and I would like to thank him and bless him for this close collaboration. It has truly reached the record of all times, an alliance in peace and in war. And this war will bring about true peace. For 47 years, the Ayatollah regime has been calling out for death to Israel, for death for the Americans, and it has brought about the deaths of many Americans and Israelis. Everyone knows that such a murderous regime should have nuclear weapons that can continue threatening the entire humankind. And
I got to come back to that because it looks like President Trump is going to speak or he's putting out a message.
Short-term bad deal, but it wouldn't have addressed long-term issues with Iran, who, according to U.S. intelligence estimates, may have been targeting American bases in the Middle East with ballistic missiles.
It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere.
This is the mission.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground.
This is the reason.
They attempted to rebuild their nuclear program.
Inside a secure room at Mar-a-Lago, CIA Director John Ratcliffe ran President Trump through intel about Operation Epic Fury, and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Dan Raisin Kane, kept a tight-knit group of trusted Trump advisors up to speed, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. Vice President Vance remained in the White House Situation Room, flanked by DNI Tulsi Gabbard and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Just hours before war broke out, the president gave no hints military action was imminent, visiting a Corpus Christi, Texas Whataburger.
I'm going to get some stuff for Air Force One, and I'm going to get the hell out of here.
According to Reuters, ahead of Epic Fury, briefers described the operation to the president as a high-risk, high-reward scenario. But 10 hours later,
a short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
Concerned about Iran or terrorist proxies retaliating, the Secret Service says the public may notice an increased law enforcement and federal presence around U.S. Secret Service protected sites. Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced the FBI and our other Department of Justice components are vigilantly monitoring any and all threats to Americans. The war.
You know, one of the things you guys, as you're going through your weekend, just keep your eyes open. Just look for people who look out of the way. Like, for instance, we're down here, it's 85 degrees. See anybody with big overcoats? See somebody drop a knapsack or someplace? Just be careful out there. You know, the whole thing, if you see something, say something. All right, so let's go back to Bibi.
Of course, are us as well. We started in order to end this threat completely. On the second day of that war for our revival, we said we would change the Middle East. We did it, and the rising lion, and now we will do so even more so with the roar of the lion war. This morning, with a surprising hit, a blow, we hit out at the tyrant Khamenei. For 3 decades, he has been sending terror with proxies and has made his people miserable and continue talking about the extermination of the state of Israel. This plan and program no longer exists. This tyrant no longer exists. We targeted those at the head of the leadership of the Brotherhood of the Revolutionary Guard and all his general staff and others. We would like to thank the brave Iranian people that they are being freed of those horrific ties with that regime. This is an opportunity. Do something. Do not sit with your arms crossed, because this moment will come and you will be demanded to go out to the streets in the masses, because you have to complete this work and you have to bring down and eradicate this regime. Your suffering and your sacrifice will not be in vain. We promised you the help, and the help has arrived. And now the time has come to reunite all of you, all the Persians, the Kurds, the Baluchim, the Iranians. The time has come to unify yourselves and to truly topple this regime and ensure your future.
All right, so you heard an echoing. I mean, the message that Bibi Netanyahu just said is very similar to that of President Trump. Hey, we can help you. We're going to get rid of the snake, but then you got to make sure your country stays snake free. You have to do it. We are not going to put boots on the ground. We are not going to come in and take over your government. We are now going to make it and facilitate you guys running your own country. Come up with a government. We'll help you. Whatever structure you need. But at this point, you've now had 2 world leaders, President Trump and Bibi Netanyahu, both say the same thing. All right, we're going to clear the path. You got to take over. And that may be a tall task for people who have been subjugated for so long, and letting them know, you got to take it. But there is one way that they can, put together a government by the people, sort of like what they're doing in Venezuela. And here's the answer.
همیهنان عزیزم، لحظاتی سرنوشت ساز پیش روی ماست. کمکی که رئیس جمهور ایالات متحده به مردم شجاع ایران وعده داده بود، اکنون رسیده است. این یک مداخله بشردوستانه است و هدف آن
Now, I realize you guys probably don't speak Iranian, but this is the son of the Shah of Iran. And remember, the Shah of Iran was killed. This was his son who had to go into exile. He has been groomed. He has been prepped to go in and take over Iran, the government. So he is ready to step in. And so now what you're going to see is President Trump and Bibi Netanyahu and maybe some other world leaders saying, here's your guy. This is the guy that we've basically put in place to help you rebuild and restructure your government, to get these crazy people out of it. This guy here, he's got a tough job. They're going to want to kill him. He's going to need to get in there and clean up everything. I mean, he's going to have to root out all of the Iranian guard and everything, but this is the guy.
جمهوری اسلامی دستگاه سرکوب و ماشین کشتار آن است، نه کشور و ملت بزرگ ایران. اما با وجود رسیدن این کمک، پیروزی نهایی همچنان به دست ما رقم خورد.
See, I'm not going to make you sit through all that because I know you probably don't understand. As someone has written here, it's Farsi. All right, so Farsi is the language he's speaking. I'm sorry they didn't have a translator on so you guys could actually hear it, but that's what he was. This is the guy. So you're going to, I wanted to show that to you so that you know over the next coming days and weeks, when you see this guy show up, who he is and what his job is going to be. They can't force him on the Iranian people. The Iranian people are going to have to want to do it themselves. That's just it.
Posted around 2:30 this morning. At 4 o'clock this morning, the president told the Washington Post, "All I want is freedom for the people. I want a safe nation, and that's what we are going to have." President Trump told Fox News nobody has briefed him to say that these strikes will definitely lead to regime change, but he is telling the Iranian people to take back their government while admitting that he gave these orders to strike with full knowledge they could trigger a long war.
But not necessarily, and that was the key, is that it could trigger, but that's not where they're going. They're thinking they can wipe this out. Oh, let me go to the Israeli guy at the UN real quick.
Enriching uranium, stop heavy water projects, stop developing nuclear-capable missiles, and allow full inspections. Iran did none of it. Instead, it fortified its nuclear facilities so we cannot get to them, accelerated missile production, and continued to fund terror. Since the last operation in the summer, they spent billions on their proxies. The resolutions were clear. The strategy was just as clear. Delay, delay, delay. But we will not be played. And it's simple what they were planning. They were building the means to corner us, to force an irreversible reality with our backs against the wall. That is not a future Israel will accept. No responsible nation should. This operation is guided by clear objectives: eliminate immediate threats, dismantle the nuclear program, destroy its ballistic missile production, neutralize naval threats, break the proxy network that destabilizes the region. The operation was carried out in order to protect the people of Israel within the framework of the ongoing armed conflict between Israel and Iran, in line with the UN Charter and in accordance with international law. Our forces stand ready to stop extremism armed with nuclear weapons. To the soldiers of the IDF, our boys and girls, my son, my daughter, we salute you. You stand like lions defending our people. An entire nation stands behind you. We have heard the condemnation from few member states, from the Secretary General, but we all know that escalation did not begin today. It began when Iran armed proxies and exported terror, expanded missiles and drones, advanced its nuclear program in violation of its commitments, turned on its own people, beating, imprisoning, executing. Where was the outrage of the UN? Where were the consequences? Now, Israel acts to prevent an irreversible threat, and the condemnation is immediate. This is the definition of hypocrisy. Some call this aggression. We call it necessity. We call it survival. Mr. President, history has taught us never to ignore those who openly call for our destruction. When a regime says it will destroy Israel, when it chants death to Israel, when it promises to wipe Haifa and Tel Aviv off the map, we believe it. We genuinely believe it when we see those hundreds of ballistic missiles that they are launching to Israel. We believe the threats. We do not ignore them. We do not gamble with our survival. We act. Now let me address the brave people of Iran. You are not our enemies. This operation is not directed at you. It is directed at a regime that has silenced you, imprisoned you, and invested in missiles and uranium while your economy suffers. You deserve better. It is this regime, the Basij, the Revolutionary Guard, who have dragged your country into isolation. The world does not fear a free Iran. It fears a radical regime armed with nuclear weapons and driven by extremism. Your future should not be defined by those who chant for death. As President Trump has said, the Iranian people deserve dignity, security, and the chance to shape their own destiny. We are thinking about you. You are seen. You are not alone. The future of Iran belongs to its people. We stand with you. Mr. President, this week, Jewish families all around the world celebrate Purim. Many Israelis will do so now in a bomb shelter. The story of Purim happened more than 2,500 years ago, in the same place. In ancient Persia, an evil minister by the name of Haman sought to wipe out the Jewish people. And it began with words, with chants. It became a decree. It could have become a genocide. But Queen Esther refused to remain silent. She stepped forward. She spoke up. She acted before it was too late. That is the lesson we learned. It is not only an ancient lesson, it is a modern one. Last week, I stood at the gates of Auschwitz with dozens of UN ambassadors. We stood in a place that shows what happens when radicalism and extremism grows and no one stops it in time. Before the Holocaust, some leaders, serious leaders, believed that they could calm aggression with concessions. They were completely wrong. Giving in did not stop evil. It strengthened it. Winston Churchill understood what Queen Esther understood long before him. When destruction is declared and weapons are being prepared and assembled, leaders must act, not later, now. Today, President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu understand that same lesson. For decades, the Iranian regime has built missiles, enriched uranium, armed proxies, and spread terror far beyond its borders. This regime is not only Israel's enemy. It is an enemy of stability, an enemy of every peace-loving nation. In this joint operation, Israel and the US are acting together, not because we see conflict, because we refuse to ignore declared destruction. We are stopping extremism before it becomes unstoppable. We will ensure that no radical regime armed with nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles can threaten our people or the entire world. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Israel for the statement. I will now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Majed A. Abdulaziz, Permanent Observer of the League of Arab States to the United Nations.
شكرا سيد الرئيس.
All right, so that guy that was talking is basically Mike Waltz. He's the ambassador to the United Nations from Israel. And I like what he was saying. He was basically underscoring what both President Trump and Bibi Netanyahu said. We're here for the people. We know what the people want. I saw something Patrick Bet-David, he made a video earlier, and he said that nearly 82% of the Iranian people want freedom. They don't want to live that way. And if you ever look at some old pictures from like 1977, Iran was just like Cuba. There was a thriving area. Every place they put this crazy, what do you want to call it? I want to say something to offend the censors, but every time they try to put these kind of people in power, they destroy things. New York, you're about to find out. You're about to find out. And you know, I saw this. Let me see if I can find, yeah, I found this. This is what Mondami had to say about everything happening. It says, today, military strikes in Iran carried out by the United States and Israel mark a catastrophic escalation and an illegal war of aggression. The Democrats are continuing to say illegal, 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 because they're propagandizing or, you know, basically gaslighting the people who read their stuff. And so if they figure they say the lie enough, if they keep saying the lie, people will accept it. Oh, it's illegal. It's not. Bombing cities, killing civilians, same old story, opening a new theater of war, yada, yada, yada. Americans don't want this. How would you know what Americans want? How would Mondani really understand what Americans want? Because you're not doing anything Americans really want to see happen. Your idea of America doesn't make it so. I believe, I don't know, depending on the estimate, 77, 80 million people voted for President Trump. Looking at today's poll, 96 of you say, yeah, I voted for this. So I'm pretty sure Americans understand we don't want that kind of Islamic oppression. I know for a fact the women around me, my wife, my sisters, my daughter, don't want to have to wrap up in a burqa. So I think I'm safe in saying you're full of crap there. He goes, they do not want another war in pursuit of regime change. They want relief from the affordability. How the hell did you get from Iran to the affordability crisis? I am focused on making sure that every New Yorker is safe. You think so? I have been in contact with our police commissioner and emergency management officials. We are taking proactive steps, including increasing coordination across agencies and enhancing patrols of sensitive locations out of an abundance of caution. Additionally, I want to speak directly to Iranian New Yorkers. You are part of the fabric of this city. You are our, wait a minute, is this live? Hold on. Oh, no, that wasn't live. If President Trump was at a microphone, I thought it was live. You are our neighbors, small business owners, students, artists, workers, and community leaders. You will be safe here. Because they can't be safe in their own country. Think about that. You can be safe here, but you can't be safe in your own country. Bill Ackman replied this. This is very important. So let me get this straight. You support the Khamenei regime that killed 38,000 protesters and maimed hundreds of thousands of more, a regime that has repeatedly called for death to America and has killed thousands of our servicemen and citizens, one that has taken away women's rights and freedom for the Iranian people. Oh, by the way, you're not going to find too many LGBTQ people over in Iran. Just saying. And then you call our efforts to destroy the evildoers a catastrophic escalation. You also support those who attack our police. You take the side of the criminals rather than the victims of violent actors in our city. How is it you can't differentiate between good and evil? Why is this so hard for you? Because he's on the evil side. You can't call out himself. Right now, the Democrat Party is not the Democrat Party. They are a floating garbage dump that they're calling the Democrat Party, and they want nothing good for America. And accordingly, they're just, I have to be so careful what I say. Oh, man, it's so awful to just call these people out for what they are. They're beyond traitors. They are facilitating evil in our country, both theoretically and in real. They don't want anything good for you. Nothing. They are actually out there protesting tonight, saying the rights that they have as Americans, they don't want the people in Iran to even have. Let that sink in. The people in Iran get killed for protesting, and they're telling people, get out of Iran. Let them continue to be killed, and we're going to protest that you guys are over there trying to fix it. How does that make any sense? How do you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I can protest, I can call Trump the orange man, I can do all these different things because I'm in America. And I'm mad because the government here is trying to let the people experience the same damn freedom you have. How does that make any sense? Here's some more news.
Not many details. I spoke earlier today with a senior Israeli intelligence official who did provide other information confirming that the Israelis were able to launch simultaneous strikes against compounds underground in the capital of Tehran, where they believe top IRGC leadership was hiding. They say those strikes were successful and they were able to take out a number of military commanders, not just who were responsible for Iran's ballistic missile program, but also for the crackdown on protesters earlier this year that President Trump said led to 32,000 Iranian civilians being slaughtered by their own government. Netanyahu, in his remarks, goes on to say that the Iranian citizens should flood the streets of their country and finish the job. He is calling for regime change. I also want to note another source just texted me right now, and I'm going to read this to you as we speak. This is coming from the Gulf, where we know that the Iranians launched a series of missiles against positions in Qatar, in Kuwait, in Bahrain, and in the UAE, all of those countries condemning the strikes against them. But we understand, according to a diplomat briefed on the attacks, that the country of Qatar was targeted by 44 Iranian missiles and 8 drones so far. This diplomat goes on to say the majority of the projectiles were intercepted.
The majority of the projectiles were intercepted. That's absolutely huge. So the Iron Dome-ish type thing that they've got working over there is working very well. And so this doesn't go well for Iran until they realize the gig is up. They're going to keep bombing them. I'm looking around at different monitors to see if I see anything, blowing up, but nothing yet. Let me get back to the show here in a second, but let me talk to you about Juvenon. I want you to actually think about this for a second. If your phone, your car, your Wi-Fi settings were running at half capacity, you'd probably try to fix it immediately. But a lot of people are walking around in bodies that are operating at half capacity, and they just accept it. And I get it, because prioritizing our health can seem like a big uphill battle sometimes. If it's not easy, I'm not doing it. But guess what? That's not just aging. That's not life being busy. That's biology falling out of optimization, often caused by various physiological stressors and inflammation. I'll be honest, I didn't go looking for any other supplements. In fact, I can be pretty skeptical when I look at stuff I put in my body. Which means I do my own research, and I encourage you to do your own as well. And when I started digging into nitric oxide, and I want you to go look that up, especially you guys, and how blood vessels stiffen over time, stress, inflammation, alcohol, I don't drink, inactivity, sitting in a chair for 3 hours, it finally clicked in my mind. When blood flow drops, everything downstream underperforms, even your brain and muscles. Your recovery from exercise, by the way, walking around in Washington for hours at a time, I needed quick recovery. I didn't really feel the pain until I got back home. And sometimes some people can't even sleep well, but nitrous oxide is a molecule that tells your blood vessels to open up. Something your body produces on its own, but we don't even think about it. It's like breathing. But when that signal weakens, when delivery slows, meaning you have less oxygen going through your muscles and your body, fewer nutrients, poor sleep quality, slower recovery, you feel it everywhere. You feel like those aches and pains. That's why clinically studied ingredients like nitrosamine, S7, and resveratrol are so powerful. They don't stimulate you. They restore signaling, but when all are purchased separately, it can cost a lot of money. That's why Blood Flow 7 is built around helping you do that for not that much money. Not hype, not caffeine, just supporting nitric oxide the way your body actually uses it. Helping your body doing what it already knows how to do naturally. And Blood Flow 7 works by boosting nitric oxide levels up, get this, up to 230%. And opening your arteries up to 62%. If you haven't taken nitric oxide, trust me, it's like getting a dose of energy and better blood flow. It really does work. One easy dose a day, no spikes, no crashes, just better output from the same effort. Systems optimized, sleep quality improved, energy levels back up again. Better circulation to your brain, your heart, and those other areas that might need a little extra help sometimes, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. If you're done accepting that this is just how it is, take a real good look at this. Go to bloodflow7.com/Barry. Try it for a few weeks and pay attention to how you feel. And if you want the stronger stuff, if you're ready for the stronger stuff, try their Nitro XXL version. It's 3x more potent. That's bloodflow7.com/Barry. And by the way, you'll get 30% off using that link. It's also in the descriptions. You can thank me later. All right, let's continue.
For us at this hour, Trey.
Yes, Sandra, we just got this in literally 2 minutes ago, but Fox News can confirm that Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead following Israeli strikes against his compound and location earlier today. A senior Israeli official confirming this news. Earlier tonight, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu describing the strikes not only against the supreme leader, but against much of the Iranian leadership. We know the breakdown in strikes focused on leadership for the Israelis and military targets initially for the Americans, and has since expanded as this campaign is expected to continue in the days and possibly even weeks ahead. As we're looking at the current situation across the region, we're also gathering new information on what the Israelis have been doing against Iran. We are told from a military official that the largest Israeli Air Force sortie against any country in the world was conducted this morning with 200 Israeli fighter jets targeting 500 different locations, dropping hundreds of munitions on a variety of different targets inside of Iran. The Israelis, while they were going after leadership, were also looking to neutralize the incoming ballistic missile fire that has targeted their country throughout the day. Sirens sounded across Israel throughout the afternoon, sending millions of people into bomb shelters. But again, the takeaway here, the Israelis have killed Iran's supreme leader. That is being confirmed to Fox News by a senior Israeli official.
So you're thinking, well, Barry, why didn't you lead with that since, it had been out there? Well, the reason I didn't lead from it is if you listen to what he said the Israelis were saying that they located a body. It looked like it might have been the Ayatollah, but nobody really gave me enough confidence until the boss said something. President Trump posted this at 4:30. And this is what he said. Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. That's my confirmation. If the boss puts it out there, I know it's real. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those people from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. he was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking system. So I'm going to stop there for a second because he's giving you a little bit of insight in what happened here. He was unable to avoid our intelligence and our sophisticated tracking systems. That means they had an asset, and that asset, basically from the movie, they painted the target. Whether it was with something electric that was beeping or something they had something to track him. You couldn't track him if you didn't know where he was. So the intelligence let them have that, which means they flipped somebody probably within his inner circle. So the one who didn't get blowed up is probably the guy. And so what now is going to happen is they're going to call a meeting and they're going to try and find out who the rat was. And that one person who was in charge or responsible, he's probably already been evacuated. But it happened because of intelligence and tracking. And they found out he was going to be at a certain place at a certain location, and boom, that's what happened. And working closely with Israel, there was not a thing he or the other leaders that have been killed along with him could do. You heard that when he talked about Venezuela. The confidence that he's saying, there was nothing you could do. It was game over when we decided to pull the trigger. There was no way you were getting out. Let that be something you take with you and let sink in as well. He is using words here to let other people know, once we lock onto you, you're done. Don't make us have to get to this point, because if we do it, there's nothing you can do. Ask Maduro. Ask what happened when they bombed Iran the first time. You have no defense to what we can do. That's got to be chilling. That has to be extremely chilling to people to know there's nothing you can do. Man, it's crazy. This is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. We are hearing that many of the IRGC, the Iranian Guard, military, and other security and police forces no longer want to fight and are looking for immunity from us. As I said last night, now they can have immunity. Later, they only get death. So he's reiterating what he said. Come out wherever you are, hands up, and we'll let you live, or you're going to die. Hopefully the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. That process should soon be starting, and not only the death of Khomeini, but the country has been in only one day very much destroyed and even, and there's the word again, obliterated. I'm honing into the words that he's using. The heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So he's letting everybody know, not just Iran. We're gonna beat you into submission. We're gonna obliterate you. You're not going to be able to stop us. You can't do anything about what we're going to do. Can you imagine that I'm 65. I don't know how old you are. And hearing for the first time in your life a president saying, we're going to smack you upside the head and there ain't shit you can do about it. So you better do what you're supposed to. Otherwise, whack. I've never heard a president speak that way. I've never heard somebody say, you have two choices. You're going to die or you're going to quit. That's it. I'm done negotiating with you. That's the kind of thing that makes the Democrats just scream. They don't want that kind of, dare I say, masculinity. They don't want that kind of aura emanating from men. And so it terrifies them. That was the whole thing with the hockey players. You got a president who's bringing the bravado, a John Wayne type of bravado, walking into the room, and they don't like it.
John, Sandra.
Okay, so Trey, you're obviously breaking that news for us just now. We'll be looking for reaction, obviously, on the ground in Iran and all over the Middle East region.
Absolutely. This is a major blow to the Iranian regime. Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, was not a figurehead. He was the man in charge of decisions as it relates to Iran's nuclear program, their expanding ballistic missile program, the hardline positions that made it impossible for the Americans to reach a diplomatic solution with the Iranians. And that led to a variety of conversations behind the scenes. And I can also report, having just gotten off of a background call with a U.S. official, that there were attempts made by the Trump administration, really olive branches given to the Iranians at the negotiating table, asking them to find a solution on the nuclear issue. These other issues, their ballistic missile program, their support of regional proxies, and even the crackdown on protesters, the Trump administration initially was willing to ignore those issues in order to get an agreement together on the nuclear program, and they simply were not willing to come to the table with reasonable demands. And despite the efforts by top negotiators that were sent to Oman and to Switzerland, whether it be Special Envoy Steve Witkoff or President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, who we know have been working across the region around the clock over the past year, not just on this issue, but also to get a ceasefire in Gaza and implement the new Board of Peace to create stability in the region. The understanding was that the Iranian regime and the supreme leader himself, these were the last hurdles for the region between stability and instability. And this decision was made overnight by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to launch these extensive strikes across Iran in order to neutralize that threat. President Trump overnight, when he made those remarks, said there could be American casualties. This is going to be a difficult fight because no war is easy, despite the fact that by tomorrow the Israelis believe they will have air superiority over the skies of Iran. But we have seen the Iranian response today, not just here in Israel, with the ballistic missile fire targeting major population centers, including Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Haifa, but also Gulf countries, Bahrain, the UAE, and Qatar. A regional diplomat telling Fox News this evening that 8 people were injured in Qatar during one of the attacks. One of them is in critical condition. And so there are serious consequences to this counterattack by Iran. But again, tonight, the news that is breaking across the region, Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, according to a senior Israeli official, has been killed.
That's absolutely huge. Excuse me. I mean, massive. That's massive information. Wanted to show you like what some of the Democrats have been saying, which is absolutely crazy. This is what I was telling you about earlier. Rashida Tlaib, you cannot free people by killing them and destroying their country. Obviously, this is someone who has no idea of history, world history, American history. That's essentially how history went. Somebody who had a bigger club people over the head, and they won something, and that's how people became either slaves or not slaves forever. And again, I'm going to point this out. This is from a woman, an Islamist, who can't do there what she's doing right there on X. She doesn't want the people over there to have the exact same rights she enjoys here. She can call Trump names. She can post anything she wants. She can go eat where she wants. She can wear what she wants. She can say what she wants. But they can't have that. How do you rationalize that with yourself, that the very nature of what you do, you're in government, you can't do over there, but we're the bad guys? I don't think they understand what they're posting at this point. It makes absolutely no sense. This guy is one of Obama's former people. It says, among all the risk, one certainty is that U.S. taxpayers are spending tens of billions of dollars on something they overwhelmingly oppose. Well, A, I bet you they don't overwhelmingly oppose. And B, what about all that money? The billions and billions and billions that went to illegals. That we still don't even have the bottom yet of how much went to all these illegals. And you had the audacity to say we're spending billions of dollars over in Iran and Americans don't like that. Yet you took you gave every Somali with an address at a UPS center $1 billion, gazillion dollars. They all opened up autism centers. But now you want to talk about this and say something about the money. I mean, it's absolutely incredible what these people will do. Makes no sense. No, I mean, no sense whatsoever. Want to show you this. No, I'll hold off. Here, let me get to this.
So, Trey, if that report from the senior Israeli official is correct, the big question is what comes next. The Ayatollah was 86 years old. I imagine that in the theocracy of Iran, they have got clerics lined up to take that position in the same way that they have planes lined up over Ben Gurion on the landing approach. So
I beg to differ. If you're a cleric, if you're an imam, you want to be the next Ayatollah, who wants to step into that? You just watched some serious obliteration. You're going to see continued obliteration. You can't trust anybody around you, and you think there's going to be a bunch of people vying for that position? After the guy in America is saying you do that, you're dead? Then these people are stupider than we think they are.
what does that mean for the future there in terms of the theocracy if that were to continue?
Israel is looking east right now to the threat from Iran, but they're also looking north and south. Iran's largest proxies are Hezbollah, the Lebanese militant group in southern Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen. Hezbollah, according to an intelligence official I spoke to recently, still has thousands of rockets and missiles, and around half of them are within range of Israeli cities. And this is a serious threat still posed to Israel, despite the fact that the Israelis have degraded and destroyed much of the Hezbollah arsenal. It still poses a threat to Israel. You might remember, as we reported throughout the past 2.5 years, the Israelis decapitated the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, with a strike in the Dakhya neighborhood of southern Beirut. They went after the missile launching positions we saw on the ground there in southern Lebanon as the Israelis meticulously moved field by field and cave by cave to go after these positions that had been dug into the sides of mountains. But despite those efforts, this is an organization that had decades of support from the Iranian regime, and they were able to smuggle in missiles and rocket components that now make up what is left of that arsenal. And while it is a smaller arsenal than before, it is a threat. And Hezbollah in the past, just the past several days, has said that if Iran's supreme leader was targeted, they would get directly involved in this war. And so that is where Israel is focused right now. As it relates to the situation on the ground in Iran, we do have to step back amid all of this military action and these serious decisions that were made by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. There is still an understanding about how the structure of the Iranian regime operates. Iran's supreme leader reportedly had already prepared successors. Iran's IRGC had already prepared successors for the top commanders of their military, understanding that if a war erupted, these would be the individuals targeted in such a conflict. And so this isn't over. This is actually just beginning. But it
just beginning. So we're going to see, as long as they have the will to fight, they're going to end up having to step up and fight. And President Trump is letting them know. And I think what we're going to see is a segue. I think we're going to see Israel basically take the lead on this stuff because he mentioned earlier air superiority. So they're going to put their 200 jets up there. They're not even going to be able to fight back. There's nothing Iran can do at this point. They've disabled everything. And we haven't even discussed what the submarines are doing. From what we understand, there are a number of submarines surrounding that area. Now, Iran decided they were going to try and close the Straits of Hormuz, and that's where most of their oil flew through. Good luck. I bet you by tomorrow afternoon, that's going to be wide open again. Well, kind of wide open, because I bet you we then begin seizing the oil to turn off the spigot to China. So when they're saying they're not done, watch the moves over the next 24 to 48 hours, because I believe some of that stuff is going to be, at this point, let's go ahead and take the oil. President Trump said that before. Why do we go into Iraq and do all this stuff and not take the oil? The oil is the currency. The oil is the blood. I know some people get pissed off. They're like, are we fighting wars for oil? Yes. That is the blood. That's what allows all this stuff to happen. You control the oil, you control what happens. And so when people said, oh, we're just doing it for oil, you're damn right we are. As long as you want to put gas in your car and you want to buy nylons and everything else, it runs and is manufactured because of oil, which incidentally was what the Democrats tried to stop here. Everybody else, pump away. Iran, go ahead, send out as much oil as you need. Venezuela, send out as much oil as you need. America, no, you can't. We're going to put up flipping windmills. And more people start looking at what's happening in these other countries, the more they're going to sit back and go, they were really trying to stomp us out. They were trying to snuff us into non-existence. And they were getting good at it.
Raise questions about the future of the region and where things are headed once this does conclude.
Also crossing right now, a source familiar to Fox News is saying some Gulf partners are responding to Iran defensively and offensively. Trey, since the last time you joined us, top of the last hour, we got word that President Trump had sat down for this several-minute interview with Axios in which he said he believes he has several off-ramps from Operation Epic Fury, talking about how long this could take. It could end in 2 or 3 days, said the president. He could tell the Iranians, see you again in a few years if you start rebuilding your nuclear and missile programs. This was about a 5-minute interview that the president conducted, but suggesting there could still be a diplomatic solution or opportunity, Trey.
Absolutely. This is the Peace Through Strength initiative that the president ran on when he was running for his second term. And when you look at the region, there are players in the region, including the Iranians, that often only understand strength. And that is a fact in the Middle East.
I gotta stop you there. Understand what he just said. This is an area of the world that only responds to and respects strength. They're always saber rattling. You've heard the term. If this is the area of the world that only responds and respects strength, why did you make America wimpy? See, these people are caught off guard with Trump, which is the same thing I've been saying. Everything that the Democrats keep talking about, they're comparing other presidents. When they say forever wars, no, it's not going to be a forever war. We're going to get in, kick some ass, and get out. We're not going to be here forever just, milking this and making the American people pay for it. Stop comparing me to other people. I am what you want over there. You want masculine, respected, feared people, but you didn't want it here. In fact, you don't want even boys learning that. That's how insidious the Democrats have been. They know that's what rules the rest of the world. China, Russia, Ukraine, all the other countries. It's having a strong, respected presence. Then why did you want to turn us into a bunch of silly boys that get their junk lopped off? And when you start digging into it and saying, okay, so this has been a concerted effort to just make America easy to take. We have so many people in this country. We're so far away from other people. Having a war would be just crazy. What if we just lay down? What if we just bend over and just give up and have limp-wristed men, not respected? And that's why this guy has always said, death to America, blah, 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 blah. Like, you got another president, it's like, oh, you can't talk to me like that. That ain't gonna work with me, Sonny. Oh, yes, I'm going to kill you and make you a dog. Okay. And why would the Ayatollah think any different? Understand the culture that they have had for decades. We fight, we blow up stuff, we take in hang gliders and kill all your women and your babies and put them in ovens, and you don't do anything. In fact, then America says, don't bother people in Gaza, And then over here, people are screaming about aggression, and that's what they're pissed off at. Because now they've got, and the Ayatollah, he probably is like, well, who's this guy, Trump? None of your people do this. Nobody stands up to me. I am the great Ayatollah. Not the people of my country, definitely not the women. I am the Ayatollah. Nobody else did. Even when they took down the towers, we just go over there, play around for a while, and then everybody can forget about it. And they just keep doing. They just keep doing what they're doing, beheading people, throwing them off buildings. Oh, that's just them over there. And Trump's like, no, you can't hang these kids. Nobody said that to this guy. What do you mean I can't hang these kids? I'm going to swing a crane and hang them. I'm going to kill them in the streets. That's what we do here. And I'm not listening to you because you're American. You ain't got it like us until they found out. And that's what happened.
And it's the reason that the Israelis have approached the conflicts that they are involved in the way that they have. As it relates to Iran and the possibility of a diplomatic off-ramp, if this does continue for a number of days and the regime is weakened, we have already heard in interviews that took place today from other outlets with Iran's foreign minister who indicated at least a small interest in a diplomatic path, understanding that at the end of this, the Iranian regime had one major factor, one lever to pull, and that was their ballistic missile program. Now, while they still will fire ballistic missiles, likely in the days ahead, when they have no nuclear weapon, they have a limited supply of missile launchers, and their regional proxies have been decimated over the past 2.5 years, it raises a very significant question.
No, it's not that big of a question. It's suicide. You've been told don't F around, and if you do, here's what's going to happen. You just found out we made the Ayatollah just disappear. And so they've got a few of these missiles still left, and they're feeling like we need to flex our muscle. You can't do this to us. You can't subjugate us. We are men. We are Iranian men. And then you put in the religious beliefs. We have to go after the infidels. And President Trump's like, watch your step. Watch your step. We know where you are. You can't stop us. There's no room here. And I'm letting you know what you're going to see over the next couple of days, because they're going to probably try and launch those weapons that they have left. And at that point, they've got, just a little bit left on their own before they're completely out. Then what do you do?
What does Iran have left to fight with if this is an extended campaign that lasts for several days or several weeks? They certainly do pose a threat. They have anti-ship missiles. They have ballistic missiles. But their ability that they had, and really we should look at October of 2023, the ability that they had before the war began with Hamas launching the brutal massacre into southern Israel on the morning of October 7th. When you think back 2.5 years ago, this is a totally different Iranian regime. It is a weakened regime. It is a regime that cracked down on protesters, slaughtering, according to President Trump, 32,000 of their own civilians. That's behavior from a regime that is cornered, understanding that they have very limited options of how to respond. And so the days ahead will be quite interesting to see how the Israelis and the Americans move forward with strikes against Iran. But certainly in these situations, we have often seen temporary ceasefires when conflict erupts in order to get some sort of deal together. And just one concluding point here that I want to note. Back during the 12-day war in June of 2025, as we reported here on the ground amid heavy incoming ballistic missile fire, that war was unfolding with casualties here in Israel, more than 24 people killed. The Israelis launching a series of strikes across Iran, trying to take out those air defense systems. But it was when President Trump ordered Operation Midnight Hammer that the Iranians suddenly responded just once against a base in Qatar, the Al Udeid base, and then in a way backed off. And it was President Trump, one man, who was able to decide the outcome of what comes next. And I remember a moment here on the ground. Israeli fighter jets were in the skies on their way to continue with the bombing campaign against Iran, and President Trump got on the phone and called off the strikes. So when the president feels that there's an opportunity for a deal, there are options and off-ramps to be taken.
I don't know about them off-ramps, because there's your off-ramp right here when he actually says the words in here. You're going to get obliterated. That's your off-ramp. Keep playing with fire. You are going to get burned. You're going to get incinerated. There won't be anything left of you. One of the worst things you can do is put yourself in a position where your opponent knows you got nothing left. Sort of like a Democrat. You got nothing. You got no more bullets. There's nothing left for you. So what do? Because now, if you throw the punch with the limited amount of weaponry that you have, you're gonna receive an overwhelming response. They'll turn certain places in that country into complete dust. And they already letting you know, we know where you are. Remember, if you go back and check this out, it specifically says, and I think this was their indicator. And he says he was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking system, which should tell people over there, do you think he's the only guy we were tracking? Just saying. You think we went over there and stuck a button on somebody, just that one guy's coat? Nobody else? We didn't stick something under your car? We don't know. I wouldn't be able to sleep. If you were able to do that with the supreme leader, what chance do you think you got? I haven't talked to you guys in a bit. Let's take some comments. Let me see what you guys you ain't got no cards. Oh, it was sort of like me in front of SV last night at the poker table. I got nothing. Give up your chips. And the other guy's taking my chip. And this guy, I won a couple hands, but they were kicking my butt. Omar took sides against America. Yeah, she should definitely go. Definitely go. They will probably, this one is a good one. They will probably turn on their own people. Yeah. And if they do that, it's going to get bad. It's going to get really bad. President Trump now have the beef up security and ensure no speech is done without surrounding himself with protective glass. Yeah, they're going to want to come for him very hard. Let's see here. You have a picture of my house? Exactly. Is this your children and your dog? We're tracking. Yeah, I bet you're right. I bet you we are tracking the whole Islam Brotherhood. I bet you. I bet you they do have that. This strike has been methodically planned for precise and speedy resolve. It won't take long. Let me just show you something. What actually happened? Some news that was from Scott Jennings. Senior Trump administration officials are telling me that credible intelligence indicated that planned preemptive missile strikes against U.S. military targets in the region and against civilian targets as well. Failure to act would have resulted in United States mass casualties. So they had that intel. Hey, if we don't do something, they're about to do something really bad. Who would know that they're about to do something really bad? It had to be somebody on the inside. And that person on the inside gave up the goods and told them specifically, this is what is about to happen. And by being able to do that, they were able to they were already staged probably and we're already ready to go. What am I got to do right here? I got to do this one. All right, let me read this real quick. If you are one of those type of people where you're getting, you start thinking, I'm getting to that age where you're tired all the time. I know how you feel. I used to feel that way. Then I started doing this show and I'm like, I can't feel that way. I need to make sure that I'm up. And so I sleep very well because of the different supplements I take. And here's another one. If you feel, tired all the time or bloated after every meal and no amount of water seems to help, then listen to this, because recently I was dealing with all of that, back before I started the show, and I started to call Dr. Josh for some help. I told him what was going on, and his response kind of shocked me. It's funny how many doctors contact me because they especially when I show you the video with Dr. Marty from the FDA, RFK Jr.'s guy, and we talked. Let me just do a segue here. It was very interesting because as I'm talking to him, he's asking me, what are you taking? What are you doing? And I'm like, okay, makes sense. But let me get back to this. He said that he said that he was showing all the telltale signs of a dehydrated liver. Not dehydrated like you need to drink more water. You have to actually get a part of the problem that you have to get fixed. You see, most people think hydration is just about drinking enough water. But here's what Dr. Josh has said. Your liver is your body's main hydration organ. And if your liver cells aren't getting water at the cellular level, it doesn't matter how many glasses you drink a day, the water just runs right through you, even at night. And when your liver is dehydrated, everything suffers. Your energy tanks, your digestion slows, you bloat, you hold on to stubborn weight, your skin looks dull, and you feel decades older than you actually are. You guys, anybody feeling that way? Plain water can't fix this on its own, and most electrolyte drinks are just sugar and salt that completely ignore your liver. That's why Dr. Josh, a practicing doctor with over 25 years of medical expertise, created a daily hydration drink called LTV. It's not just another electrolyte powder like Gatorade. LTV combines clinical dose marine-based electrolytes like taurine to help your cells actually hold on to water, plus milk thistle. I mean, you can buy that on your own, milk thistle, and dandelion root to support your liver's natural detox function. You know, I get all this stuff because Robin has turned into quite the health nut. I mean, she's researching all this stuff for me. She knows our livelihood depends on me being here. And so LTV has already helped thousands of people and has received credible reviews from customers who notice results fast. That's when, people hear this, they immediately hang up the phone or do what you need to do and order some from his website. For the last few weeks, I had been drinking, actually, when I started taking it, and every morning, it was like one of the first things I grab when I go out and talk, sit with the dogs. And I'm happy to report that I've been able to say goodbye to any bloating. I don't have any afternoon crashes, and that dried out, foggy feeling that some people have, I don't have it at 65. Ashley will tell you, I ran, other than having to walk and that painful stuff in Washington, everything else, I was bright-eyed and ready to go. So you get a body that actually feels hydrated for the first time in years. This stuff is powerful. You will be amazed at how much better you'll feel in a very short period of time. But again, you're not going to get results like this from a regular electrolyte drink or by just drinking more water. Dr. Josh put his 25 years of experience into LTV to make sure it actually delivers real cellular hydration, not just expensive pee. So if you're ready to hydrate your liver at the cellular level and finally feel a difference in your energy, your digestion, and your waistline, just go to http://drinkltv.com/Barry to get your hands on LTV today. That link is in the description below. And by the way, it's your lucky day because Dr. Josh is running a special offer where you can get up to 64% off LTV for a limited time. But this deal is only available through the link in the description, as you can see here on the screen. The link is right below this video. Do yourself a favor, go click it, and give your liver the hydration it has been missing. Let's continue.
This was an extraordinary 3-minute conversation, Yasmin. Let me read you the key takeaways. I asked President Trump if he had confirmation that Ayatollah Khomeini has in fact been killed. He said to me, I've spoken to a lot of people. We feel that is a correct story. Again, when I asked him about the reports that the Supreme Leader has in fact been killed, President Trump saying, we feel that is a correct story. He went on to say, quote, a large number of their leaders have also been killed. And that was significant. The fact that he said this was not just one person, Yasmin, the fact that according to President Trump in this phone call that I have with him, he believes it's a correct story that the Supreme Leader has been killed, along with, he says, a large amount of leadership. He says there were 3 attacks, and he says that in some of those subsequent attacks, that is what ultimately killed the leadership of Iran. I asked him when he would know that this operation has been a success. He said it is going very well. We're probably, in terms of 0 to 10, we're close to the 10 spot, if not there. It's going very well. Tremendous damage has been inflicted. The leadership is gone. Large portions of the leadership. They don't know how many, he says, but he says that the leadership has largely been wiped out from Iran. So a significant huge news revelation and development in this 3-minute conversation with President Trump. When I said specifically, sir, how will you know that this has been a success? He said, quote, Yasmin, I think it's already been a success.
Interesting that he's already telling her, and that's NBC or MSNBC or MS Now, whatever it's called, Christian Welker. Tomorrow, the talk shows are going to be lit, because that's what almost an anti-Trump person having to report this and saying it's successful. That's how good it is in terms of how this operation went. And I think people are beginning to realize now that the operations that Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard, whoever puts together Raising Cain, they are completely efficient, they are lethal, they are stealth, and they're successful. Whatever happens tonight, overnight, we don't know in terms of any more attacks, in terms of what they're going to be blowing up. I keep looking at the screen because they've got, cameras looking for stuff to blow up. But it all is going to depend on what these guys do. These guys meaning the Iranians. There won't be any more blowed up stuff if you guys stop being idiots. So who knows? They may start raising their hands and saying, okay, we're done. But if they start pushing buttons, they're going to get blown up.
Israel assesses that more than 40 senior Iranian security and regime figures were killed in strikes during the opening operation that Israel launched this morning with the United States against the Iranian regime. This official goes on to say this is one of the largest regime decapitation operations conducted in modern warfare history, and that Israeli intelligence managed to infiltrate the Iranian security echelon, making the strikes possible, this official explained.
I just spoke with a senior U.S. official that confirmed to Fox that the U.S. does believe that Ali Khamenei, the Ayatollah, was killed along with 5 to 10 top Iranian leaders in that initial Israeli strike on his compound.
I included these pieces because if you listen to the pieces, what MSNBC said, and this is Fox saying, nobody knows the collateral damage. How many of these people were taken out? Christian Welker says 40. Israel told him 40. Jennifer Griffin, don't like her, but she's saying somewhere about 10 or 15. But in any event, a good portion of the leadership is no longer there. And so we don't know what the exact number of leadership has been taken out, and that's what we're going to find out over the next couple of days. And you can hear the differentiation in how many? 15, 12, 40. But a bunch of them aren't here anymore.
Earlier today that launched this day of strikes, the last 12 hours, they agree with Israel's intelligence assessment. But what is most interesting to me is that the multiple sources have told me that the strike had to be moved up based on intelligence and this so-called target of opportunity. There was a deliberate decision to accelerate the timeline and to strike during the daytime, which is extremely unusual. Usually the U.S. would not strike during the daytime, but they wanted to catch the senior leadership off guard. It was a Saturday morning during Ramadan, and it was also Shabbat during.
Now, understand that little part of it. Not only did they blow these guys up, but they blew them up on one of their biggest religious holidays. Almost like they give them that, the big double barrel salute, as Dan Bongino says. We're going to blow you up, and we're blowing you up on Ramadan. You see, that just pissed them off, because on Ramadan they're thinking, oh, it's cool. We got to go do our thing and find some goats and do whatever we need to do. We're good. Nothing's going to happen. Nobody's going to mess with us on Ramadan, are they? Boom. And I'm sure that pissed them, the ones who survived, it has pissed them off. How dare the United States blow us up on Ramadan?
The day, and that's when Israel took the opportunity.
I'm being bombarded by different emotions. And this is the moment that Iranians, my people, are experiencing different feelings, pain, and at the same time, hope, concern, and at the same time, hope. And I repeat that because that can be the beginning of a future that people of Iran have been waiting for this moment for 47 years. You know, let's just make it very clear. Now, when I talk to Iranians,
by the way, this is not Rosanna Dana Bana, whatever, from Saturday Night Live. This is a woman from Iran, and she's just beside herself because she's here. I believe she's here. And, you know, she's seeing that her country may be liberated. This is the type of people you realize you're helping.
For 1 second, they scream out of joy when they hear that their killers finally being the target of the US government and they see justice. But at the same time, they are worried. They're concerned that if this is not going to lead regime change, that if this is not going to be the end of this regime, and if the American government, the Israeli government, only target the military leader, not the political leaders, then the people of Iran are going to be left alone on themselves by a wounded ISIS, by a wounded regime and government, and that's going to be a huge risk for my people inside Iran. I have family there. My parents, my brothers, my sisters, all my beloved people, they live there. But believe me, we don't want people like Zoran Mamdani or some of Americans lecture us about peace, about...
You know the squad people are freaking out when you're hearing an Iranian woman, not necessarily an Islamist, saying these people like Mamdani are no, they're phony, they're fake, and we don't want them talking to us. Imagine that. People over there are calling him out. People over here are embracing him. They know he's phony.
War, because this is a war being brought to us Iranian people by the Islamic Republic, by the warmonger Revolutionary Guards. And this is the moment that Europeans should join the US government, should join the Israeli government to end the Islamic Republic. If not, believe me, this regime will end democracy, will end American citizens' life everywhere, because the Islamic Republic is like cancer.
Refreshing, isn't it? Refreshing to hear a person from that part of the world, from Iran, tell you that everything these people are is a cancer. We got people here, white people in the street begging, oh my God, we got to make sure that the Islamists are taken care of. And the people who've actually lived through it are telling you, you're morons. I don't know what kind of brainwashing white liberal women have had, but they don't understand. And I don't get it. There are so many women who've lived through it who can tell you, you don't want this. But yet the white liberal women are all running around going, oh, bring in all the refugees, bring all the newcomers you want.
And they will infect the rest of the world if we don't remove them.
What you're looking at right here is actually, I believe it's in New York City, maybe Washington. And the idiot white people down in Washington, D.C. or New York, wherever this is, looks more like could be New York. Oh yeah, look at this one. Obviously she's not white, she's just cuckoo. You notice though, she's everywhere. Whenever these protests show up, this moron is always there. I don't even know. I don't even know what she's doing. But these white people are walking the street telling us we're doing bad for, waging an operation in Iran. I don't know what's happened to them. I don't know what's happened to these college kids. Look at them. Peace with Iran, no techno-fascism, USA evil empire. What has happened to these people? I don't know. It makes no sense to me. And the other thing was, how did they mobilize so quickly? How did they get signs made up? Remember, this happened at what? 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and by this afternoon, they already had signs? They're already out there? And 90% of these idiots are white. Do they not, have they never heard of the blue-eyed devil and what the, I just don't get any of this stuff. Something has happened to liberal people, and something has happened that has basically allowed them to become complete bonkers. Yet, counter to that, let me show you this. Counter to that actually happening, hold on. This is happening in Los Angeles. Watch this.
The largest Iranian populations outside of the Middle East. You see the gathering there behind her. Julia, how is the Iranian community responding?
Well, this gathering has only grown, Jessica, over the past few hours, since we've gotten here. It has amassed a large number of people, and the celebration is striking. We got here just moments after initial reports, initial rumors of the death of Ayatollah Khamenei had just started to trickle from Iran to this diaspora community, and people were jumping in excitement, hugging each other, crying, saying that basically they've been waiting 47 years for this very day.
I don't even know how this is happening. How is it that people from here are marching and saying America bad, and the people who actually from there, over there, are like jumping for joy? Something has happened. Colleges, maybe? Something in the water? Maybe that's what was in the jab-a-demic. I don't know. These people are like, this is fantastic. What are you protesting? Oh, you want us to wear hijabs. Oh, you want us to be oppressed by the Ayatollah. That's what you really want? Oh my gosh, you people are nuts.
It is the reason so many of them have come out here today. I want you to hear from one of them specifically, his thoughts right after learning that the supreme leader of Iran was dead.
When is the last time you saw people in Israel and Iran dancing on the streets in excitement? And when is the last time you've ever heard of a country coming out and dancing because they're excited that foreign powers are attacking them?
Now, the name of Reza Pahlavi has been at the tip of people's tongues here, Jessica. So these are very much people who are pro-Shah. They want to see a leadership emerge from Reza Pahlavi. They're calling for him to take over the reins, and their hope, they've told...
Reza Pahlavi was the guy I showed you at the beginning, who was speaking, I now know the language Farsi. And I showed you Trump, and I showed you Bibi Netanyahu, and then Reza Pahlavi. That's who they want to take over the country. And that should be the new government.
Told me is that he would then lead a temporary government and hold elections in Iran, hold a referendum in Iran so that the people could decide what would come next for their nation.
Yeah, and so many Iranian people hoping for a regime change and that they can take back their government. A lot of questions about how that will happen, if it can happen. Julia Vargas Jones, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Thanks for that.
I saw in the comments somebody said contrast, and that's exactly what it is. It's an amazing contrast to see. This doesn't make any sense. You've got people on this side in America who are protesting liberation of an entire country. They want these people to be subjugated. Is it socialism? Is it communism? Or is it pure insanity? Was President Trump correct? These people are crazy. Because when you look at it that way, it's like, wait a minute. You can enjoy all these rights here, but they can't. That's it. Don't make any bones about it. That's exactly what they're saying. We can walk in the street. We can protest. We don't have to wear the hijab. We can be vocal even as women, but we're protesting, giving them the same liberation. The only part of that should, well, a couple parts should scare you, but the real reason why that should bother you is because now you understand clearly with the contrast. You can now clearly see that's what the Democrats want here. Make no bones, make no mistake. That's what they want. They want that government, that style to come here, that Sharia law. They want it here. They want you to be controlled. Otherwise, there would be no protests right now. There would be nobody protesting. They would be clapping. You have freed the people in Iran. But that's not what they want. That's not what they're happy about. And so when I went back earlier when I was telling you about how confident I feel right now is because they have stepped into a abyss that I don't think they can claw their way out of it. Starting Tuesday, when they couldn't stand to support people who had been killed. They couldn't stand to support Americans. And now they're out there on the street being funded to hold protests against other people in other countries being liberated. That whole land of the free, home of the brave, they don't want that to spread. God knows why. They want you in a warmth of collectivism, as Mandami said. And it's becoming very obvious now. And literally just a week. You have to be able to put those things together, those parallels. They don't want to stand up for America. They don't care that people are being killed. They don't want to salute veterans. They don't want to salute the hockey team. Nothing America is good. But we need to make sure we keep these people wrapped up in burqas and hanging out with goats and having the Ayatollah run things, that kind of stuff. That good. That's what we need. That's what they want for you. And now your eyes should be open and say, we just saw a military maneuver, but we're going to need a whole lot of prayer. And I think that prayer works. I know prayer works. I've had it work in my life. But we're at the precipice right now. This thing could have gone over the edge, but I hope you feel like me at this point. I am so very confident that the wool has been removed from people's eyes, and they can clearly see at this point this enemy, this Democrat Party, this leftist, this liberal craziness, this entire party full of furries, this party full of people who want nothing good for America, who want to make boys non-masculine. That's what they want. And now you can sit back and see it very clearly. And so you tell me that we're going to lose 2026 and 2028 to those people, and that this president is going to let that happen. I think I have a better judgment. My judgment meter has been honed, and it's really honed looking at a guy who's been impeached twice, indicted across the country, whose wife's underwear drawer has been run through in his home, all the things they've done to him, tried to kill him. And we think you think he's just going to let that happen? Come on. I'm serious. Right now, it should be you should be able to look at it clearly and go, these people have absolutely nothing. I was going to do some stuff, show you the Scott Turner interview, but obviously you have things planned, and then all of a sudden President Trump, well, something happens. One last thing. One of the reasons why you've seen me read a couple extra spots today is because talking about war is something that YouTube doesn't really like that much. So they may try to, I don't know, bang me or something. So I got one more for you here. And this one is quite, relevant. I think we can all agree that lately everything going on in the world, and specifically our country, just feels crazy. It feels crazy a lot, almost all the time. And everyone wants you to be pulled into the noise instead of the signal. It's important to stay grounded and focus on things that help counter that craziness. And I have something simple and meaningful that does exactly that. It's the sterling silver cross necklace, and on its box are the words that have guided our country for generations. In God we trust. For me personally, pieces like this are a quiet reminder to slow down, not to overreact, to respond with patience instead of frustration, to choose faith over fear, and to remember that real strength comes from trusting His plan, not forcing the outcomes. A lot of us feel it right now. Pretty much you probably feel it today. A pull back to our core values: faith, country, family. The same values many Americans rally around when they feel the nation drifting, and the same reason so many still stand firmly in support of President Trump today. But this isn't about shouting politics or making a spectacle. It's not about yard signs or slogans. It's about keeping your faith strong, especially when the world feels like it's getting crazier by the day. Because at the end of the day, there can only be one side worth standing on, and that's God's side. Sometimes smaller symbols carry the greatest weight. If this resonates with you, I put the link below in the description, and if you can afford it, go for it. The link is themagaoffers.com/BarryCross. You'll get 50% off your sterling silver cross using that link, and it's a meaningful piece you can wear daily or give to someone who'd appreciate the reminder. Again, the link is themagaoffers.com/BarryCross for 50% off while supplies last. Or if you'd prefer, you can call in to explore even more deals at 855-550-6242 with the promo code BarryCross. All right, let me go ahead and take some comments here from you guys. Rogers says, the Iranian people may cause revolutions around the world by their example of standing up to tyranny unarmed. Imagine if North Korea, wow, yeah, in China. What we're doing to the IRGC, we need to do to the Democrats. Okay, I could definitely buy that. The war is over, and because in Iran is over because Khomeini is dead. Nobody is ruling Iran right now. Well, that's where it can be kind of dangerous too, as well. You know that, because there's a power vacuum, and someone is going to want to assume that power. You have to think that maybe they had at one point somebody already ready to take that position. He probably had a hand-picked successor, and maybe that hand-picked successor was in the heap with him when he went. People are being paid or have been brainwashed to believe what the Democrats are telling them. That's some serious propaganda. Serious propaganda. I love the people in my neighborhood to tell me I have to leave because I'm a cracker. I tell them not going. Who would tell you that? Oh my God, the education, that's where it is. The education system has been infiltrated with people who hate the United States, teaching the kids the same ideologies. Jesus reigns over all of us. Yeah, I think, going tomorrow, going to church tomorrow, just be careful, keep your eyes open, watch what's going on around you. What has happened to Rocket Man? I haven't heard anything about him in a while. He's probably watching what's going on around the globe and going, yeah, I better just shut up. If he was smart. Let's see, out of my budget range, the Calvary Cross. What has happened to Rocket Man? Let me go through some of there could be someone worse. You're right. It could definitely be someone worse trying to get in there. All right, so let's see what happens tonight, and maybe it's quieter tonight. We don't know. I'm not sure what time it is in Iran right now. I think they're like 12 hours ahead, so it's probably actually getting close to the morning there. So if nothing's happened yet, we should be, maybe it's going to be quiet. Give them a chance to regroup or whatever. All right, so let me read the super chats and then we can get out of here. Where is it? Okay, hold on. Adjust the window. And here we go. Hold on. I got to remove that comment so we can see that. But tomorrow I'm going to have the Scott Turner interview for you so you guys can see that. Up here first. Rodney, hello. Operation Epic Fury. Peace for all. We the people of the world. Take the oil. Gotta take the oil. Wait, hold on 1 sec. Come here. Come here. Can I go up here? I thought Lily wanted to come up, but she doesn't want to come up. Thank you very much, Rodney. Yeah, we got to take that oil. 2010 Sug. I think we're deporting the wrong people. Deport the live left. I agree with that. Chiosop. Okay. France surrendered this morning. Strongly worded. Yeah, they did. I was surprised that Canada came out and said we're right behind you. But France, and UK. Chiosop, Mike Tyson military knockout in the first round. That's what you got to do. Just don't let it be protracted. I think so many people who were talking about the forever wars didn't understand that's how they were designed. That's exactly what they wanted. No way the Ayatollah is dead. They kick him out of the lobby. Chiosop, Starmer sent his military to protect the UK. Buzzy. Did he really? Did he really? George, Barry, if the president can wear a USA ball cap when addressing the nation, so can you. I have that hat. I actually, yeah, I have it. Oh, you meant like when I went to Washington. Alulia, Democrats will be drafting a tear-filled apology. Oh yeah, they're definitely going to be. They're going nuts right now. Jennifer, please call in the poop ray gun, the discombobulator. Anthony, this is similar to Operation Desert Storm, 1986 under Reagan. I was on board. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Fox is saying that there's 40 people dead too. Sorry about that. This is similar to, yeah, I was on board the USS Saratoga flight deck crew. Wow, very cool. Wow, thank you. Buddy Sanders, peace equals fire superiority. What's this? Okay, I was just reading something on Fox. Dave Rattan, I've said it on here before, but the Rothschilds have been profiting from funding both sides of every war for hundreds of years. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. Nikki, did you know that in Muslim calendar today is the 9th month, 11th? Whoa. Today was the day of retribution. They just got put on note. Whoa, I did not know that. Wow. Dave, again, thank you very for all your time and effort you put into every show. And thanks to all the mods for all your work at keeping the chat a safe place to communicate with all and the Fanfare family. Thank you very much. And they do a great job. The reason why, excuse me. The reason why you don't see SV much, he's driving. Well, he may be just getting home right now. He came down, took our money, and just drove back to Virginia. Fazul, if Iran gets nukes, they will hit USA and Israel. Exactly. Then the power shifts everyone elsewhere, including some of our so-called allies. They don't dare now. Judy Branch, as always, Barry's. Thank you. God be with us all. Thank you. KSJ, thank you for going live today. I've been wanting to hear your perspective on this all day. God bless you and your family. God bless America and God bless President Trump. See, my perspective, excuse me, my perspective might be a little bit different. My opinion, like I said, I don't have military experience. I just watch him, and I base all my I don't know if you want to call it insight or perspective based on what President Trump says, what President Trump types, and then what President Trump does. And I find it very interesting that yesterday, when he did the Corpus Christi event, he was talking about the oil and energy. And the very next day, he's doing something in Iran. And his speeches and what he says often sometimes can give you clues as to what kind of moves he's going to make. But the biggest thing and I've said this so many times, is a man just exudes confidence. Doesn't look afraid, doesn't look like he's concerned all that much. And even after being shot at and all the different things, the Iranians trying to kill him, he doesn't forget. And again, if you guys haven't, I'll have to get some excerpts. If you guys haven't read Art of the Deal, if you haven't read what President Trump has done, then you're missing out on a lot of who the guy is. Because he is the person he shows you to be. And he has always said that revenge, he's going to come after. Even Melania said, you hit him, he's going to hit you twice as hard. And that's why I keep going back to him. Like, this guy doesn't look like he's going to give up the 2026 election. Something is coming. Just count on it. Don't know if he'll be able to make it happen. Who knows if the Supreme Court will allow him to win, but we should see. Cutting edge. Most of them don't believe in, because of us, the Lord, for them, have to bow by conversion or get sent to paradise. You're right. USA, baby. Cutting edge. Buddy, I pray for New York Police Department. Exactly. Tania, Bear, I think it's safe to say Khomeini isn't enjoying 72 versions. Oh, man, that's too funny. Brad, Mom Dummy, and AOC should stay out of the world affairs. They should. They look really stupid. Did you see she put out a message as well? I mean, they're all talking about, oh, it's illegal, you can't do it. And I'm like, they expect people to be stupid. Lisa, God is a plan with President Trump. God bless Trump, and Barry, God bless you and your family. Thank you. Neo, President Trump socked it to the Ayatollah as a whole and make Persia return to peace again. Love our 47th, no games, FAF. Oh, thank you. More Bibles. More Bibles are coming. John, thank you for sharing the truth. You're welcome. I hope the Ayatollah is enjoying his new 70 vegans. You guys are funny like that. Carla, Barry, thank you for such thorough coverage of this historic event. Trump uses military force as a last resort. I trust President Trump and his brilliant cabinet. We must pray for Trump. And moving forward, when he tells you March 15th, you better do something or else, I don't want to be there for the for else if that was ever put to me like he does. G. Fisher, I bet Trump's ahead of the game and has already been speaking with the Iranian replacement. Yep. G. Fisher, Obama must be livid. We blew off all shit he bought for Iran. Plane loads, cash, pallets full of cash. Exactly. Christopher, thank you. Charlene, thank you, Barry, for explaining all this so people can see and understand what's going on. It's not so much explaining as I give you my insight, my perspective, and then it allows you hopefully to begin looking at it from your perspective and saying, okay, let me look at this and look under here and read what he says. Kelly, thank you. Christina Mozart. Hi, Christina. For Bibles, it's a wonderful time to be alive. The world is safer, plus listening to you, taking your advice, for doing some research. It has been my best year of prosperity. Bingo. Bingo. Notice he said that about Iran. I hit the button, but he was talking about they should be able to enjoy prosperity. Again, another anti-democrat word. Yeah, you're in an oil-rich country of 90 million people. You're like 1/4 the size of the United States, but you got all this damn oil, and these people are living in huts. Why? Because they're being subjugated. Why shouldn't that be one really rich country? Why shouldn't they be sort of like Saudi Arabia? Well, that's because of the government. That's it. And once people realize, wait, we could have this kind of stuff. Yeah, MAGA Gaza, baby. Kelly, thank you. Steve James, President knows who the troublemakers in the U.S. are too. Exactly. Fazul, Trump did it. Michael Corleone got all the bosses done. He settled all family business today. Nicholas Lamonicus, where'd that go? Very white liberal kids who grew up during the Obama era were programmed to hate America, brainwash Soros and Steyer. C. Mills, the great Jesse Helms, warned us about these evil liberals. Yep, and it's come true. 2010 SUG, I think we're deporting the wrong people. Deport the live left. We should. James Hammond, the Senate had a dog parade but didn't pass the SAVE Act. You are correct. Tinley, you see Dems try to trend Operation Epstein Fury. You know, and thank you, Henry. The whole thing, they keep saying, oh, it's an Epstein distraction, when it's not an Epstein distraction because nobody's paying attention to this Epstein stuff anymore. At least it pushed the Savannah Guthrie stuff off the front page. I mean, that's crazy. But yeah, Epstein. It tells you that they got nothing. That's all it is. They have nothing. Most people have a gift, God given. Fortunately, not everyone has the same gift. Barry has a great gift. Well, thank you very much. Iran is shooting ballistic missiles at Israel right now. They are being accepted. Yep, I just saw that. So it is what it is. All right, everybody, let's go and watch the war again tonight and see what's going on. If it gets real bad, I may do, depending on, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to promise anything. People have had enough for tonight anyway. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow, and we'll pick it up with some stuff about Scott Turner. And I think I can do Scott Turner. His is pretty long. We'll do that tomorrow. Thanks, guys.